Page 1. From Batroid to Beta, Mythic Transformations and Kanban Precision at Freya Robotics, presented by Ragnar Reinforged Thorson, CEO of Freya Robotics. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed warriors of capital, and legendary seers of the future, otherwise known as venture capitalists from Valgrind Ventures, welcome to a journey through myth, machines, and money. We're here today to raise $100 million in Series B funding for Freya Robotics, the premier builder of transforming aerospace strike fighters and the world's most efficient production Kanban system. Because, let's be honest, without the right process, even a legendary Valkyrie like the VF-6 Alpha is just a very expensive paperweight with wings. The vision, transform or die. We stand at the crossroads of technology and mythology. On one side, we have the gods of old, Odin, Thor, and Freyja, who ruled with wisdom, strength, and magic. On the other side, we have the future, the VF-6 Alpha fighter, capable of transforming between three modes: a fighter, guardian, and battleroid to adapt to any challenge. At Freya Robotics, we embody both worlds. Our mission is simple: to build the most adaptable machines in the universe, using a production system that flows as effortlessly as the rivers of Asgard. And how do we do that? With a Kanban system that would make even Loki stay in line. Why the VF-6 Alpha fighter matters now, you might be wondering. Why focus on the VF-6 Alpha? Why not build something simpler like drones or electric scooters? Because the future isn't about simplicity, it's about adaptability. In deep space missions, like those undertaken by the Robotech Expeditionary Force, one-size-fits-all doesn't cut it. The VF-6 Alpha fighter's ability to transform is what keeps humanity alive in hostile environments. In fighter mode, it's a high-speed aerospace vehicle. In guardian mode, it hovers, providing precision strikes and tactical flexibility. In battleroid mode, it becomes a 2-story tall robot warrior, capable of hand-to-hand combat, because sometimes you just need to punch his entrada in the face. The VF-6 Alpha doesn't just transform, it evolves to meet the challenge. And our Kanban system works the same way. Freya Robotics Kanban system, the real hero of the story. Now, let me take you through how we produce these transforming fighters using our fast app-inspired Kanban system, which we call Mjolnir Flower because when it strikes, it delivers results with the force of Thor's hammer. 1. Kanban cards, the rune stones of modern manufacturing. At Freya Robotics, Kanban cards are our sacred runes. Each one tells a story. Green cards, for piecework tasks, like assembling the Alpha's missile pods. Yellow cards, for injection molding tasks, like crafting the reinforced shock-resistant seals that keep vacuum tubes from exploding in deep space. Red cards, for emergency tasks, like someone forgot to bolt the arm cannons or fix it before we're all vaporized. Every card is a battle directive, ensuring that no task is forgotten, no warrior stands idle, and no component is left without a home. 2. The grocery aisle production line, stocking the halls of Valhalla. Imagine walking through a grocery store, except instead of picking up bananas and milk, you're grabbing high-frequency vacuum tubes and thrusters. At Freya Robotics, our production aisle is organized exactly like this. Workers pull a Kanban card when they need parts. A light alerts the water spider to restock. And when parts run out, they follow a crumb trail to find the correct replacement. It's simple, efficient, and prevents chaos, which, frankly, is rare in any mythology involving gods. 3. Piecework cells, where mortal hands build immortal machines. In our piecework cells, workers are guided by visual instructions and QR codes that link to process videos. Imagine a technician scanning a QR code and immediately pulling up a video titled, How to Mount a VF-6 Beam Gun Without Blowing Yourself Up. They know exactly what to do. They know how long it should take. And if they mess up, they can blame the system, not the gods. 4. The spreadsheet of fate, tracking every victory and defeat. Every completed task is logged in our build tracking spreadsheet, where we record date of completion, time taken, workers' initials. Because accountability is divine, this isn't just about tracking numbers, it's about tracking progress. Every improvement gets logged, analyzed, and used to make the system better. Even Odin would approve of this level of foresight. 5. Error prevention, Loki-proofing the process. We've designed Freya's Kanban system to prevent mischief. Visual guides ensure materials go back to the right spots. Color-coded bins keep everything organized. And if someone tries to skip a step, an alert sounds like Heimdall's horn, reminding them to follow the process. Because if we've learned anything from myth, it's that you don't let Loki near the controls. Why we need $100 million, the beta fighter awaits. We've perfected the VF-6 Alpha. But as every pilot knows, no mission lasts forever on one tank of fuel. That's why we need to build the VF-6 beta fighter, designed for extended missions and deep space Kanban optimization. With your investment, Valgrind Ventures, you will fund the next generation of transformable aerospace fighters. Expand our Kanban system to handle cosmic-level production demands. Join the ranks of the legendary. And if that doesn't excite you, let me remind you, there's nothing more profitable than saving humanity from an alien invasion. Closing words. The future is transformable at Freya Robotics. We believe in evolution through transformation. The VF6 Alpha transforms from fighter to guardian to Batroid. Our Kanban system transforms chaos into order. And with your help, our company will transform from a startup to a legend. The gods don't wait for permission, they take action. Join us on this mythic journey. And remember, in space, no one can hear you back order. Thank you. Page 2. Speech by CEO of Freya Dynamics, funding the next frontier of aerospace transformation. Location, Valhalla Ventures HQ. Audience, the gods of venture capital, led by the legendary Odinson Capital Partners, OCP. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed gods of the venture world, and restless warriors of innovation, I stand before you as the CEO and Chief Engineer of Freya Dynamics, the pioneering aerospace robotics firm inspired by the Norse goddess of transformation and war. Our mission is to do what humanity has dreamed of for centuries, turn the fantastical into the functional, merge myth with machine, and if you'll indulge me, I bring the VF6 Alpha fighter from sci-fi dreams into aerospace reality. Today, we're here to raise $100 million in Series B funding from Odinson Capital Partners, the premier venture firm that, much like the gods of Asgard, sees the unseen potential in bold ideas. But before you commit your divine dollars, let me tell you why Freya Dynamics is your ticket to Valhalla level returns. The VF6 Alpha fighter, from fantasy to functionality are, the VF6 Alpha fighter. For those of you unfamiliar with its legendary specs, this transformable aerospace strike fighter can shift between 3 modes: fighter mode, traditional aircraft for long-range dogfights; guardian mode, a hybrid configuration for mid-air combat and ground support; Batroid mode, full-on humanoid mesh mode, ideal for urban warfare and alien invasions. Hey, we plan for everything. But here's the kicker: what makes the VF6 Alpha unique is not just its transformation capability, but the way we manage its production, maintenance, and mission readiness using a cutting-edge Kanban system. Our Kanban system, from chaos to order. Let's talk about Kanban, a system so efficient that it could organize Loki's prank supplies. At Freya Dynamics, we've taken a page from FastApp's playbook, but we've leveled it up to handle the complexities of building and maintaining a transforming, space-capable, missile-laden aerospace mesh. Our production system isn't just for parts and pieces, it's for transforming ideas into reality faster than a beta fighter can dock. Here's how we do it. Step 1, the grocery aisle, aka the hangar deck. Picture a grocery aisle, but instead of bread and milk, we're pulling plasma beam guns, anti-griff stabilizers, and flight control processors. Each component has a Kanban card, color-coded by priority and urgency. Green cards, basic parts like screws, armor plates, and snack packs for the pilots. Orange cards, critical items like nuclear fusion cores and thruster engines. When a part is pulled, a light flashes on the hangar deck, alerting our version of the water spider. We call them the Valkyries to restock immediately. No delays, no excuses. Step 2, the production cell, aka the Forge of Freya. Our Kanban board in the production area is a battle map for assembling the VF6 Alpha fighters. Workers grab the top left card on the board of the highest priority task. Each card includes part name and location, in color-coded bins. Quantity needed, always more missiles. Time goals, because the Valkyries don't wait. A QR code linking to a process video. When a part runs out, the crumb trail system kicks in. Every part has a label underneath pointing to its exact location in the hangar. Step 3, Batroid mode and error prevention, because crashes are bad. Now, let's be real, when you're assembling a transforming aerospace fighter, errors are deadly. That's why our Kanban system includes visual checks at every stage. No one misplaces a fusion core or missile rack, and no one skips a safety check before launch. In Batroid mode, the VF6's entire nervous system relies on error-free assembly, and thanks to our Kanban system, 0 back orders, 0 errors. Why we need your divine dollars, Odinson Capital Partners. Here's why your investment is crucial. We're scaling production. Right now, we're building 1 VF6 Alpha per week. With your investment, we'll scale that to 5 per week, ready to defend humanity, or at least win defense contracts. We're upgrading the Kanban system. Our next-gen system will include real-time AI tracking and predictive restocking alerts. No more waiting for the Valkyries to spot a flashing light. Our AI will know before they do. We're integrating with beta fighters. The VF6 Alpha is amazing, but the VF6 beta fighter is its perfect partner for long-range missions. Your funds will help us develop docking protocols and shared systems. Why you should believe in Freya Dynamics. In ancient Norse mythology, Freya was the goddess of love, war, and transformation. At Freya Dynamics, we embody those values: love for aerospace innovation, warrior spirit to tackle complex engineering challenges, transformation to turn science fiction into science fact. With your help, we'll lead humanity into a new era of aerospace dominance. So, are you ready to fund the future? Or will you sit back and let someone else build the next VF-6 Sulfur fighter while you're stuck on the ground? The choice is yours. Valhalla awaits. End of speech. Now, let's make history. Page 3. Welcome, pilots and production crew. Buckle up, because we're about to embark on a wild ride that fuses the high-stakes world of VF-6 Sulfur aerospace combat operations with the sleek efficiency of a lean, mean Kanban system. You're not just running builds, you're managing the aerospace strike capabilities of humanity's last hope. Let's dive in. Systems check complete. The VF-6 Sulfur fighter, your transforming beast of productivity. Imagine your Kanban workflow as the VF-6 Sulfur fighter, a powerhouse that transforms based on mission needs. The VF-6 doesn't just cruise through the skies in fighter mode, it shifts into Guardian mode for mid-range skirmishes and Batroid mode when it's time to get up close and personal. Sound familiar? That's your Kanban system in action. Let's break it down by mode. 1. IDRS's Sadilu AF Pound Fighter Mode, the big picture, high-level Kanban planning. In fighter mode, the VF-6 is sleek, fast, and mission-ready. This is your spreadsheet system for builds, tracking every project, improvement, and time log like a command center in space. Flight deck mission control, every build starts with a Kanban card of your mission orders. Once a project is complete, it's logged with a UPC scan, similar to how the VF-6's onboard systems report mission database. Notes on major improvements are like recalibrating your alphas. Targeting systems are essential for hitting those efficiency goals. Metrics are your after-action reports. Time to complete a build? Check. Improvement in speed? Check. Pilot initials and date? Locked in. If you're not tracking, you're drifting off course faster than a malfunctioning Veritech. 2. IDRS's Sadilu AF Pound Guardian Mode, Mid-Mission Adaptability. The Water Spider role, just as the Alpha transforms into Guardian Mode to adapt to changing combat scenarios, your Water Spider is the hero of adaptability in your workflow. Think of the Water Spider as the VF-6's logistics officer, ensuring that ammo, parts, and fuel are always where they need to be. Here's how the system flows. FY section blue Kanban cards equals materials that need moving. Die microgreen dot on card equals manual retrieval, no forklift needed. FY broken bar 3/4 no green dot. Fire up the forklift Batroid, you're pulling down pallets like you're loading missile pods. The light sensor system? Pure genius. It's like a tactical alert in your cockpit, card placed in slot. Light activates. Water Spider mobilizes. Mission accomplished. The whole process mirrors the VF-6's reloading sequences mid-battle, keeping you supplied and deadly. 3. IDRS's Sadilu AF Pound Batroid Mode, Up-Close Combat. Production Cell Process. In Batroid mode, the VF-6 is all about power, agility, and precision. Your production cells are the equivalent of the Alpha's servo motors and beam weapons, making sure you're executing with maximum impact. Here's how it plays out. Kanban cards are priority missions, are the highest priority build goes to the top left slot. Product details, quantity, and time goals are all clearly marked like your heads-up display, HUD, in the VF-6. QR codes linked to process videos, consider them your flight manuals for mission success. Worker accountability equals pilot responsibility. Just like a pilot checks and rechecks systems, your crew must ensure that every part is ready for the next step in a build. Miss a step? That's like forgetting to arm your missiles before entry encounter. Don't be that pilot. Fuel and ammo, restocking process. Let's talk about restocking, a critical part of both combat and production. In the VF-6, running out of fuel or missiles mid-battle is a death sentence. Similarly, running out of parts mid-build kills productivity. Here's the protocol. Kanban card in the box. Box empty. Card goes in the reorder slot. Water Spider retrieves the card and refuels the supply chain. Rinse and repeat. The orange reorder cards are your emergency flares, signaling when supplies are running low. The broken bar labeling and packaging. Final checks before launch. Your graphics department handles the final touches, labels with barcodes for quick identification, just like the VF-6's mission markings. Labeling process. Scan barcode to pull up the correct label template. Print labels using automated systems are smooth, efficient, no errors. For custom paper needs, follow the visual rack system to avoid mix-ups. The VF-6 Sulfur doesn't launch without proper markings, and neither should your builds. Crumb trails. Don't get lost in space. Ever wonder how pilots find their way back to the hangar bay? Crumb trails. In your system, each part has a labeled restocking location, making it easy for workers to retrieve what's needed without wandering like lost min-my fans at a concert. Example, O-rings in bin 12A. Bin empty. Follow the crumb trail to the restock location. Broken bar Sadilu AATM IDRS's Sadilu, the hero's journey. The Water Spider's role. The Water Spider is your real MVP. Like a VF-6 pilot managing logistics mid-battle, The water spider ensures the Kanban system keeps humming along. Tasks include retrieving products from specified locations, delivering products to the grocery aisle slots, triggering the reorder process by placing cards in the right slots. Without the water spider, your Kanban system would stall faster than an Alpha fighter with a busted VTOL. Final words from the cockpit: the VF-6 Alpha fighter wasn't built for leisurely joyrides. It's a high-performance, adaptable combat machine designed to get the job done under any circumstances, just like your Kanban system. Whether you're managing parts, improving workflows, or restocking supplies, remember, you're the pilot in this operation. Your Kanban board is your cockpit. Your water spider is your co-pilot. And your mission is clear: maximize efficiency, eliminate waste, dominate the process. Or, as we say in the ref, always be ready to transform and roll out. Mission complete, team. Dismissed. Page 4. The VF-6 Alpha Fighter, the Kanban Revolution. My speech as Chief Engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the hangar bay of legends. Gather round, because today we're not just talking about any ordinary aerospace vehicle. We're talking about the VF-6 Alpha, the most advanced transforming aerospace strike fighter in the Robotech universe. And you know what else we're talking about? The mighty Kanban system at Bascap. What do they have in common? More than you think, my friends. Buckle up, this is going to be one hell of a ride. The VF-6 Alpha Fighter, a marvel of transformable engineering. Let me start with the VF-6 Alpha. This beast isn't just a fighter jet, it's a transforming fighter jet. One moment you're flying through the stars in fighter mode, the next you're hovering in guardian mode, and if things get hairy, you can go full Batroid mode and throw down like a heavyweight boxer with a beam cannon. What makes the VF-6 Alpha so legendary? Main engines in the legs for serious thrust. Secondary engines in the arms for extra boost. A thruster on the belly for vertical takeoff and landing. Enough missiles to make an arms dealer blush. It's the Swiss Army knife of aerospace, adaptable, powerful, and ready for anything. But here's the kicker: none of this matters if we can't build, maintain, and resupply the VF-6 efficiently. And that's where the Kanban system comes in. From Alpha fighters to IL-4, how our Kanban system keeps us flying now. Imagine we're back at Bascap. Our VF-6 assembly line is humming along. You need parts for the next build? You don't want to be digging through racks like you're looking for your car keys. You need order, efficiency, and a process that's tighter than a drum solo at a Van Halen concert. Enter the Kanban system. Here's how it works, and trust me, it's smoother than a guardian mode landing. The Kanban card system, the lifeblood of the VF-6 supply chain. Think of the Kanban system as the VF-6's version of mission control. Without it, we'd be lost in space. The red Kanban cards, these are our emergency beacons, signaling that we need to order from external vendors. When we're running low on missile parts or thruster components, a red card tells us to get on the horn with our suppliers. The micro blue Kanban cards, these are for items we buy but don't manufacture. Think radar systems, flight suits, or those fancy helmet visors with a heads-up display. The cents green Kanban cards, now we're talking. These are for the parts we make in-house. The stuff that makes the VF-6 a true marvel of engineering, like the retractable missile bays and the folding wing mechanism. The water spider, the unsung hero of our hangar. You know what's more critical than a beam cannon on an Alpha fighter? The water spider, the person making sure parts are always where they need to be. I call them the guardian angels of the Kanban system. Here's how the water spider keeps us flying: sees a Kanban card, takes action immediately, moves products efficiently to the right locations, uses the Kanban light sensor system to know when inventory needs attention. If a blue card hits the slot, the water spider doesn't panic. They know if there's a green dot, no forklift is needed, they can grab it by hand. No green dot? Time to call in the big guns, the forklift driver. The forklift driver, our Batroid mode operator. The forklift driver is like the VF-6 Alpha in Batroid mode, strong, capable, and able to lift the heaviest loads. They operate the narrow aisle unit with all the grace of a seasoned pilot. Safety lights flash like a VF-6 thruster warming up, letting everyone know they're on the move. The forklift driver scans part numbers using our inventory system, just like a pilot checking flight systems before takeoff. Everything is done in FIFO order, first in, first out. It's the only way to keep inventory moving efficiently. Lessons from the hangar: why Kanban works for the VF-6 Alpha. Let me tell you, before we implemented this system, it was chaos. Parts would go missing. Pallets would sit forgotten in dusty corners like old battle scars. People were calling out part numbers from memory like they were bingo players at the retirement home. We were flying blind. Now? Every pallet is tagged with a barcode. Every Kanban card tells us exactly what to do. Errors? Practically eliminated. Even Skylar, our injection molding specialist, is on board. He grabs the blue Kanban cards, makes what's needed, and sends it right back to the work area. No guesswork. No wasted time. The light sensor Kanban slots, our version of a heads-up display. We even built a light sensor system for our Kanban slots. Think of it like the VF6's HUD, heads-up display. It tells the water spider exactly where to focus their attention. Simple, cost-effective, and built in-house for about $10 per setup. Compare that to the cost of one missed part on a VF6 Alpha mission, and you'll see why it's worth every penny. Final takeaway, the VF6 and Kanban are a perfect match in the end. The VF6 Alpha fighter is more than just a marvel of aerospace engineering. It's a symbol of efficiency, adaptability, and innovation. And it wouldn't be possible without the Kanban system at BASCAP. So, whether you're piloting a transforming aerospace strike fighter or just trying to keep your warehouse organized, remember this: adapt like the Alpha. Move like the water spider. Think like the forklift driver. And always, always trust your Kanban cards. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that even the most advanced fighter in the galaxy can't fly without the right parts and the right process to manage them. Thank you. Now, let's get back to building VF6 Alphas. We've got a universe to reclaim. Page 5. Speech by VF6 Alpha engineer at the Future of Robotech with Fusion Energy Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed investors, engineers, and fellow lovers of all things that defy the laws of physics, I stand before you as not just an engineer, but as someone who has had the honor of working on the very fighter that could make your dreams of spacefaring, transformative warfare a reality, the VF6 Alpha, also known as the Alpha Fighter. And today, we're not just talking about any kind of fighter. We're talking about a fighter that doesn't just push the envelope. It makes the envelope beg for mercy. Now, we all know the VF6 Alpha is a transformable aerospace strike fighter capable of switching between fighter, guardian, and batroid modes faster than you can say "Did you hear that?" But let's take a moment to really understand what makes the VF6 Alpha more than just a pretty face, and a heck of a good one at that, I must say. It's the kind of machine that takes everything you thought you knew about engineering and challenges you to make it better. This is where we come in. So, buckle up, because I'm about to take you on a high-speed, highly caffeinated journey through the engineering magic that is the VF6. I've worked on many projects before, but this one takes the cake. We're talking about 80% weight reduction through 3D printing, a process so sleek and precise, it would make even the most hardened metalheads in the aerospace world reconsider their entire approach to weight management. Now, why is weight so critical for the VF6? Well, picture this: the VF6 doesn't just sit in the sky looking pretty. It takes off, transforms mid-air, and then fights aliens or whatever else we can throw at it. It needs to be light for speed, agility, and performance. So how do we tackle this issue in a way that even your grandma would approve of? We turn to 3D printing. You see, with traditional methods, we're stuck using metal after metal, welding and screwing everything in place, until you end up with a fighter that's heavier than your morning coffee routine. But with 3D printing, my friends, we're talking about a precision process that allows us to create parts with the exact geometry we need, cutting down on unnecessary material and ensuring that every gram that makes it into the design is there for a reason. With this process, we've managed to take the VF6's weight down by a staggering 80%, which means we're not just cutting weight, we're also increasing performance, reducing fuel consumption, and, quite frankly, making this fighter look like a high-tech ballerina on steroids. But let's not stop there. You see, when we started working on the VF6, we knew we had to think big. We couldn't just rely on the traditional methods of designing aerospace fighters. Oh number. We had to push the envelope the same way we'd push the limits of the Triglav generator that powers this bad boy. Imagine squeezing every ounce of energy out of fusion power, paired with the ultimate in high-performance engineering. We had to think like we were building a fighter for the future where every inch matters, every wire counts, and every 3D printed part is a leap toward technological nirvana. As we dove into the development process, we applied a principle that was near and dear to our hearts: so don't make a cause of a problem with a real problem. Now, that sounds pretty philosophical, right? But stick with me. If you look at the VF6 Alpha, you'd see that traditional fighter design is often weighed down by bulk or heavy, cumbersome parts that try to do too much. The real problem isn't the bulk itself, it's what that bulk does to performance. So, we focused on reducing mass wherever possible, while still maintaining the fighter's destructive potential. 3D scanning helped us get started. I mean, you want your fighter to be both agile and destructive, right? So we carefully scanned every piece of the fighter, adjusting for complexities like wing shape, aerodynamics, and all those other cool technical details that make it work in 3 modes. We didn't want to just reduce weight, we wanted to optimize performance. Once we had that, we could start breaking things down. What's the goal here? Create parts that weigh less but still kick some serious butt. The key design challenge was cutting weight without sacrificing durability, strength, or let's be real here, cool factor. We're talking about a fighter that's made to withstand the brutality of combat and the rigors of space without falling apart like a cheap knockoff toy. We needed to handle forces up to 10 Gs. And that meant making parts that were engineered to perfection, with 3D printed polymers that are lighter than traditional metals but tougher than anything you've ever seen before. Of course, this didn't come without its challenges. We had to tackle issues like impact resistance, load bearing, and aerodynamic efficiency, all while ensuring that the 3D printed parts wouldn't be, well, too light. No one wants a paper-thin fighter that can't survive an asteroid field. So, we simulated it low pressure tests, destructive tests, and everything in between until we were confident that our 3D printed components could withstand the kind of punishment that the Alpha fighter would face in real battle. And just when we thought it couldn't get any better, we introduced fusion power. With the Triglav generator integrated into the VF-6, we're talking about near unlimited energy. Not just a cool sci-fi concept anime, this is real. This allows the VF-6 to use all that energy efficiently, propelling it through the skies, the vacuum of space, or even a cataclysmic battle with intergalactic invaders. And that's where the fun really begins, folks. When you combine 3D printed, ultralight parts with fusion energy, you're no longer just flying a fighter. You're commanding a living, breathing machine of destruction that transforms before your very eyes. It can be a jet, a robot, or anything in between, and it's all powered by the most cutting-edge technology humanity has ever seen. But here's the thing, this isn't just about cool toys. This is about solving real problems. We're taking these innovations, scaling them, and bringing them to you, the future investors of the Robotech revolution. This is your chance to be part of something that will change the world, one 3D printed part at a time. So, don't just sit there and wait for the world to get cooler. Help us make it happen. Because the future of aerospace and robotics isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. And trust me, this ride is going to be freaking awesome. Let's make history together. Thank you. Page 6. Ladies and gentlemen, engineers, aerospace enthusiasts, and anyone who has ever wondered how we can make a transforming fighter jet even better, yes, I'm talking to you, space pirates. Gather round as I, the VF-6 Alpha, also known as the Alpha fighter, will bring you a tale of technological wonder, grit, and some seriously light materials. Now, let's talk about something that's near and dear to my metallic heart: weight. No, not the kind you feel after a long day of deep space combat missions, but the kind that could actually make or break a fighter like me. I'm talking about how we managed to reduce my mass by a whopping 80%. Yes, 80%. All thanks to the magic that is 3D printing. Oh, you didn't think we'd stick to the old school metal and bolts game, did you? You've got to evolve, baby. Let me give you the rundown. The VF-6 is not your average fighter jet. Oh no, I'm a transformable aerospace strike fighter, meaning I'm designed to switch between 3 different modes: fighter, guardian, and batroid. I've got engines that could launch me across the cosmos and armaments that could decimate an entire fleet of first-generation destroyers. But here's the thing, this much firepower comes with a lot of stuff. And when you've got to operate in space, where every ounce matters, all that stuff starts to feel a little too heavy. Enter 3D printing. You see, my friends, in the world of aerospace design, every gram counts. When you're out there in the cold void of space, or even flying at Mach 3, don't ask me how I know, you don't want to carry anything unnecessary. That's why the engineers at my side, equipped with cutting-edge 3D printing tech, decided to take a long, hard look at my frame and ask, what if we made this thing lighter? What if we could make it stronger too? And so, we embarked on a mission to 3D print parts that weren't just lightweight, but also capable of handling the extreme conditions I face daily. Let's break it down, shall we? We started by examining parts like the license plate bracket on a Vitpilot track bike. Now, I know what you're thinking, how does a bike bracket relate to a high-tech transforming fighter jet? Well, hold on, let me connect the dots. We stripped away the unnecessary weight from the bike's components, much like we do with my more traditional elements. The OEM license plate bracket weighed in at a hefty 2.5 kilograms. But with 3D printing, we reduced that weight significantly, down to about 250 grams per part. Yeah, that's a reduction of over 90%. This kind of efficiency is what made my transformation capabilities so much more nimble. Here's the kicker: this weight reduction wasn't just about getting rid of excess baggage. Oh no, this was about precision. The team didn't just slap together some flimsy plastic. No, number. They used PACF, polyacrylate trial carbon fiber, material for its exceptional strength and stiffness. My components were built to withstand not just the forces of flight but also extreme conditions like high-G maneuvers. You've got to love the confidence that comes with knowing your fighter's fuselage is stronger than a tank but as light as a feather, well, an extremely tough feather. Now, of course, I wouldn't be the Alpha fighter if I didn't put my new parts through the ringer. These parts went through destructive testing, and I mean destructive. We subjected them to forces ranging from 15-28 Gs, not the kind of G-force you'd feel on a theme park ride, and guess what? They held up. They withstood the impacts. There were moments of glorious failure, sure, but that's part of the journey. Every failure is just a stepping stone to the next iteration of excellence. After running tests with accelerometers and creating a swing arm setup, don't just trust me, it's as intense as it sounds. We saw that even at peak forces, parts held up strong. And here's the twist, I stood on the parts to test their strength. They survived that too. For a jet that can perform aerial combat and space maneuvers, I think standing on a part is child's play. By the time we wrapped up testing, we were left with a sense of accomplishment, knowing that my team had successfully integrated 3D printing into my engineering design to make me more formidable than ever without sacrificing my agility or power. That's right, folks. I'm leaner, faster, and I've got the heart of a lion or, a robot lion. Whatever works. And as we look to the future, let me tell you, 2025 is going to be full of more innovations. The technology is constantly evolving, and just like I transformed from a fighter to a battleroid, the world of aerospace is transforming too. Imagine what we can do with 3D printing in the next 5, 10, or 20 years. We're talking about a future where parts are lighter, stronger, and more customized than ever before. So, for all you fellow engineers out there, for all the creators in the crowd, know that this isn't just about making things lighter. It's about making them better, making them smarter, and above all, making them stronger. Keep your eyes on the skies, folks, because we're just getting started. And remember, in the world of aerospace, weight is not just a number, it's a mission-critical factor that can turn a good fighter into an alpha. And if we can make a transforming fighter that can handle space combat, ground combat, and even the occasional alien invasion lighter with the power of 3D printing, then there's no telling what we can do next. Stay tuned, because the future of aerospace design is light years ahead, and I'm proud to be the one leading the charge. Or shall I say, transforming the charge? Page 7. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed investors, and future trailblazers of aerospace, welcome to the next great evolution of the VF-6 Alpha Fighter. I'm your resident VF-6 engineer, chief strategist, and, yes, somewhat of a humorist, here to talk about how we're going to merge the future of aerospace technology with a business acumen that will carry us to a successful Series B funding round. You see, like any great aerospace strike fighter, we're about to take off, but this time, we're going to answer those tough questions investors love to throw at you, while also giving you a sneak peek into how our key performance indicators, KPIs, aren't just for show, they're the afterburners that keep us going at max speeds. Alright, let's dive straight into the heart of the mission. You know the drill. What happens if your primary revenue stream becomes obsolete? Well, I'll tell you this, if the VF-6 Alpha Fighter's primary function as strategic aerospace striker so ever becomes obsolete, you better believe we'll be pivoting faster than a fighter jet in a vertical climb. We'll turn that obsolescence into an opportunity. You see, while some companies crumble when faced with disruption, we thrive. The VF-6 isn't just a jet, it's a multi-role, multi-mission marvel that can adapt to anything. Obsolescence? PFFT. I've seen the VF-6 go from aerial combat to tactical reconnaissance and back again. We can pivot from aerospace technology to global defense, drone management, logistics, and a hecker if we have to. We'll start a jet-powered food delivery service. Need to get that pizza to your door in 3 minutes? We're your fighter. But, I digress. Our ability to pivot is backed by sound financial metrics. Take a look at our occupancy rate of 85%, for example. We've got room to grow. The market vacancy rate? It's sitting at a nice and manageable 6.5%. That's a perfect scenario for our future development plans, and trust me, we're using that space to branch into new industries, keeping our revenue stream diversified. Remember, our effective gross income, IG, is already at $2,470,000. And, as we increase market rent and expand our product offerings, we'll be making the most of every square foot. Don't let the numbers fool you, we're flying high in a world of opportunities. Now, on to question number 2, how would you handle a significant data breach affecting your customer base? Well, for starters, we've got a debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, of 2.05. Translation, we're solid on our ability to pay our debts and keep the ship flying smooth even under pressure. A data breach might be an inconvenience, but we're equipped to handle it, just like how the VF-6 handles incoming enemy missiles, with precision, speed, and overwhelming force. In fact, our capitalization rate of 10% shows you we're using our assets wisely. When it comes to data breaches, we already have a robust security system in place that's more locked down than the VF-6's cockpit. We're talking encryption at every level, intrusion detection systems, firewalls that are stronger than a fighter's armor plating, and an IT team that's more efficient than the VF-6's afterburner fuel system. In fact, We've partnered with the best cybersecurity firms in the galaxy to ensure that if anything happens, we'll be back in the air before the enemy can even lock onto us. Let's take a moment to talk about internal rate of return, IRR, a favorite of investors. With our projected 10%, we're not just surviving, we're thriving. We know that if we handle potential breaches or disruptions, we'll come out even stronger. This isn't just about making a quick buck, it's about creating a sustainable, high-return business that's built for long-term success. And for those investors who want to see the dollars add up, let's talk about net present value, NPV, which stands at a solid $1,250,000. It's like our fighter jet has already been prepped for takeoff, and the runway is clear. We've got runway space to accelerate quickly, and we're going to keep climbing. Data breaches won't slow us down because our infrastructure is just as tough as the VF-6's hull. Now, let me tell you something important. To our power broker's score is AAA, and for those of you wondering what that means, let me explain. It's like the VF-6 being fitted with advanced propulsion technology that makes it faster than anything in the sky. We know how to move swiftly through negotiations, understand market trends, and align our mission objectives with the ever-evolving aerospace industry. Whether we're dealing with a data breach or pivoting to new revenue streams, we're moving forward with an aggressive yet calculated approach. In closing, I want you to understand this. At 1991 to 2011 VF-6 Alpha Fighter Court, Madripoor, we don't just build fighter jets. We create a business strategy that's adaptable, sustainable, and robust. The KPIs we've discussed today are not just metrics on paper, they are the very tools we use to navigate the future. Just like the VF-6 Alpha Fighter, we are built for high performance, speed, and resilience. A little turbulence along the way? No problem. We'll adjust the wings, fire up the afterburners, and blast through the clouds of uncertainty. So, are you ready to join us on this flight? Buckle up, because we're about to soar. Thank you. Page 8. Investors, I see you're eager for more answers. Let's strap in because we're about to take this VF-6 Alpha Fighter into a new level of business combat. Now that we've covered how we handle the inevitable bumps in the road, or whether it's data breaches or a revenue stream under attack, let's dive into some more unconventional, yet equally vital, questions. Brace yourselves. We're going to be flying through some tricky airspace here, and when we emerge, we'll be even sharper than the nose cone of a VF-6. First up, if a key competitor offered to acquire your company, how would you respond? Well, let me tell you, Thesa, if a competitor comes at us with an acquisition offer, we're not going to panic. No sir. We'll do what any top-performing aerospace strike fighter does, perform a series of tactical maneuvers to evaluate our options before making a decision. Let's be clear, the VF-6 Alpha Fighter doesn't just fly for anyone. It takes a powerful vision, a strategic focus, and a relentless pursuit of excellence to get behind the controls of this beast. So, if someone wants to buy us out, they'd better have an offer that can keep up with our speed and agility. We're not interested in a quick buck, we're here for the long haul. Look at our net operating income, NOI, of $2,755,000. Our company is profitable and growing. Our capitalization rate of 10% shows we're making smart, long-term investments. And, just like the VF-6, we've got the endurance to fly high for years to come. Here's the deal, an acquisition offer might seem tempting on the surface. But we're not just about the short-term gains. Our lease expiration schedule isn't due until 2035, which means we're locked in for the long run. We've got a property condition assessment that might be fair, but that's just code for we've got potential for major upgrades. The business equivalent of putting in afterburners, so things are going to get hot. And we're not about to let someone buy our future without putting up the fight. If that acquisition offer is too tempting, then we'll evaluate it just like a fighter pilot evaluates an incoming missile. We'll track it, assess the risk, and if it's worth engaging, we'll go in for a full-on dogfight. But let me tell you, we don't need to sell to grow. We can expand on our own terms. Our effective gross income, IG, is already $2,470,000, and with a loan-to-value ratio, LTV, of 52.95%, we're operating with financial agility that'll allow us to keep our engines running long after the competition. Now, let's move on to the next question. This one might just hit a little too close to home for some. What would you do if your top-performing product line suddenly lost market demand? Let me break it down for you in terms that even a fighter jet could understand. Imagine this, the VF-6's primary weapon system just became obsolete. Well, no sweat. We're engineers, after all, and we don't just make things work, we make them better. The loss of market demand for a product doesn't spell the end, it's just an opportunity for innovation. Let's say our primary product line suddenly loses market demand. What do? First of all, we don't just sit around in the cockpit, sipping coffee, and crying over spilled fuel. We fire up our internal rate of return, IRR. Right now, it's a respectable 10%. With it, we're able to weather the storm. But more importantly, we go into market rent versus in-place rent mode. We analyze the gap between what the market is willing to pay for our tech and what we're currently charging. If demand drops for one product, we don't just stand still. We evolve. We introduce new features, new uses, and we start looking at our engineer occupancy count, EOC. With 1,516 engineers on board, we've got the brains, the muscle, and the agility to adapt quickly. Our replacement cost of $15,500,000 tells us that even if a product line goes south, we've got the resources to completely revamp and relaunch a new one. We've got a fleet of engineers, and if one product doesn't fly, we can redesign another, and another, and another until we're back at full thrust. And we won't just do it with new tech, we'll bring in our existing customer base to be part of the journey. They trust the VF6 brand, and we'll keep them in the cockpit with us, flying to the next big thing. We have something called operating expense ratio, ORE. Right now it's at 63%. This means that even when a product line faces challenges, our expenses are tightly controlled. We're running a lean, mean, aerospace machine that doesn't rely on just one product to survive. We can shift focus, realign our strategy, and continue to push forward. It's like changing the flight path in midair and coming out ahead in the next sector. And remember, our cash-on-cash return is a solid 10%. Even if one product line takes a dip, we've got cash to cushion the blow and power us through the storm. So, what would we do if our top-performing product line lost market demand? We'd hit the afterburners and fly straight into innovation. We'd adapt, overcome, and come out on top. The VF6 Sulfur Fighter doesn't just survive, it thrives in adversity. We're not afraid of market changes. In fact, we embrace them. Change is just another challenge that the VF6 was built to conquer. Alright, I know I've kept you in suspense long enough, but I hope you're seeing the picture here. Just like the VF6, we're built for adaptability, resilience, and constant forward motion. The real question isn't about the obstacles we face here, it's about how fast we can accelerate through them. And trust me, we're not slowing down anytime soon. Thank you. Page 9. Alright, buckle up, because we're heading into some turbulence now. These questions aren't for the faint of heart. But then again, neither is the VF6 Sulfur Fighter, and I'm here to remind you that no challenge is too tough when you're engineered for greatness. So let's break it down and dive into these business maneuvers, one after the other. First, how would you manage a scenario where your largest customer accounts for 50% of your revenue, and they decide to leave? Ah, the dreaded single point of failure, or the big kahuna of customer reliance. Now, look, I'm not saying that we've ever been that reliant on one customer, but just for argument's sake, let's pretend we're in that situation. How would we handle it? Simple. We'd do what any high-flying aerospace fighter would do, execute evasive maneuvers, make a quick course correction, and fly straight into diversification. The worst thing you can do in this situation is panic. When your largest customer bails, it's time to shift gears and recalibrate your financial trajectory. Our net operating income, NOI, of $2,755,000 is strong enough to absorb a hit, but here's where the real kicker comes in. We've got a capitalization rate of 10%. That's not just good, it's a sign that our underlying business is structured to withstand shocks, like a VF6 dodging enemy missiles. A 50% revenue loss from one customer? Sure, it would sting, but it wouldn't take us down. The secret weapon here is diversification. You don't want to be locked into a position where your financial future depends on one customer's whims. Just like how the VF6 can adapt to different combat scenarios, or whether it's air-to-air combat, dogfighting, or ground support, we've engineered our business model for flexibility. We've already got a solid base of customers, and we know how to expand that. We'd target industries and niches where our current offerings have the most potential for growth. We've also got the luxury of a debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, of 2.05, meaning we can comfortably cover our debt obligations. If that 50% customer departure does happen, we can rely on the solid financial foundation we've built to pivot and adjust. What would we do? First, we would double down on securing smaller accounts to spread our risk. We'd target a broad spectrum of industries and build out a diverse portfolio. And because our occupancy rate is at a strong 85%, we're already pulling in a reliable stream of revenue from our real estate holdings. That cushion gives us the breathing room to recalibrate and recover quickly. Alright, let's move on to the next question. If you had to cut your operating expenses by 30% immediately, which areas would you target? Now that's the kind of question that makes you tighten your flight suit a bit. A 30% cut in operating expenses? That's a steep climb. But hey, if anyone can handle this, it's the VF6. This is where the true beauty of financial acumen comes into play. Here's the deal, we've got an operating expense ratio, OR, of 63%. That's not bad, but that means we have room to trim the fat. First things first, let's talk about personnel and contractor costs. We've got an engineer occupancy count, EOC, of 1,516, and while every engineer in that number is valuable, let's be real, some projects can be streamlined. We'd review the current staffing levels and look at areas where we can temporarily reduce headcount without compromising long-term capabilities. It's like deciding to do a quick repair on the VF-6's thrusters mid-flight. You don't lose altitude, but you ensure you're flying more efficiently. Next, let's focus on non-essential maintenance costs. Our property, with a property condition assessment listed as fair, likely has room for optimization in terms of upkeep. If we had to make cuts, we would defer some of the capital expenditure for non-essential repairs or upgrades. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not cutting corners to the point where the plane is going to fall apart. But much like the VF-6's modular construction, we can optimize our operations and still maintain peak performance. We also need to target our marketing and promotional expenses. These can be great in the short term, but if we need to tighten our belts, we'd scale back on unnecessary ad spends or less effective campaigns. A solid net present value, NPV, of $1,250,000 tells us that our investments are already in the right place, so trimming those marketing costs would not impact our ability to build the brand long term. Finally, let's look at technology expenses. Our current systems have served us well, but a 30% cut would mean re-evaluating which software tools are absolutely necessary. We're not going to drop the controls for the VF-6 in the middle of an aerial combat situation. But we would look for more efficient solutions or perhaps some cost-effective alternatives to streamline operations and improve productivity without sacrificing quality. In the end, the approach is to focus on strategic cuts rather than blanket reductions. We don't want to make the mistake of cutting so deeply that it hinders future growth. If we were to go through a 30% reduction, it would be like a pilot adjusting the thrust to maintain a controlled descent. We make the cuts, but we do it with the precision of a VF-6 pilot executing a flawless barrel roll. So there you have it. Adapting to the loss of a major customer? We've got the agility to pivot and diversify without missing a beat. Cutting operating expenses by 30%? We'll do it surgically, efficiently, and with full control. And when it's all said and done, we'll be flying higher than ever before. Thank you for taking this flight with me today. As you can see, the VF-6 Sulphur Fighter isn't just about combat capabilities, it's about strategic thinking, resilience, and adaptability in all aspects of business. We're ready for whatever the skis or the marketer throws at us.